Welcome to Rob Nagy's Rock and Roll Legacy. For more than 4 decades as a freelance music journalist, I had the honor and the privilege of interviewing countless music icons in rock and roll, jazz, R&B, and blues. It was a priceless journey that began in my late teens. I never imagined I would cross paths with many of my music heroes. Digging deep into my archives, I selected a 1994 interview I conducted with music legend Roberta Flack, which I hope will be a memorable journey for you, the listener, and preserve her legacy for future generations. One of the defining vocalists of the 1970s, Flack recorded an impressive string of hits that became instant classics and the soundtrack of a generation. Inspired by legendary vocalists Sam Cooke and Mahalia Jackson, Flack embarked on her career as a professional singer in the late 1960s. Ultimately signed to a contract with Atlantic Records, she released her debut album First Take in 1969, featuring the single The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face. The song became the biggest selling hit of 1972, earning Flack a gold record and a Grammy Award for Song of the Year in 1973. Teaming up with vocalist, songwriter, and keyboardist Donnie Hathaway, the duo recorded the million-selling hit classics Where Is the Love in 1972 and The Closer I Get to You in 1978. Flack's #1 hit, Killing Me Softly with his song, earned her a Grammy Award in 1974 for Record of the Year and Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. Her follow-up single, Feel Like Makin Love, earned her a Grammy nomination in 1975. Following the tragic passing of Donnie Hathaway in 1979, Flack teamed up with Peabo Bryson in the early 80s, releasing the hit single, Tonight I Celebrate My Love. Flack was given a star on Hollywood's Walk of Fame in 1999, inducted into the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame in 2009, a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2020, and was inducted into the Women's Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2021. Flack continued to perform into her 80s until she was forced to retire for medical reasons in 2022. Roberta Flack passed away in New York City at the age of 88 in 2025. You're about to hear an unscripted, never-before-broadcast phone interview I conducted with Flack in 1994. For your listening pleasure, I give you the late Roberta Flack.
The Colors of Christmas tour, how did that go over, and was that something that you would be doing again this year?
This was my second year. It was a wonderful experience. To sing with James Ingram and Peabo, was really very special for me. And to sing with Gene, I didn't actually sing with her, but I did duets, both with Peabo and James, and that was very exciting. I did a couple of the things that I have recorded with Donnie, with James, and so it was very special. James is a very wonderful singer and very unique, and it was like every night that we did Where Is the Love, for instance, it was a different song sort of, and that was very exciting for me. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know who else the producer has in mind, but I'm open to that. He seems to think that I can fit in, and I'm hoping that will be the case.
I thought you fit in beautifully. I thought it was a wonderful show. I really enjoyed it very much.
I enjoyed having the chance to sing a classic Christmas carol like What Child Is This, and as well as a sort of an obscure Christmas song that I recorded some time ago on my Blue Lights in the Basement album called 25th of last December. I thought it was very appropriate, and that so many of my friends, my close friends, have gone on to another place because of the disease AIDS, and I just thought, 25th of last December, these guys were here, these people were here, and now they're not. So I felt that it's nice when you do something that you love, and also it has a message that doesn't smack people in the face.
Exactly.
It's delivered in a real melodic and sort of lyrical fashion. So I was really happy about that.
Are you actively involved in AIDS charities at all?
Concert performances with Marvin Hamlish, and let's see who else I've worked with, Dionne Warwick. I'm preparing to do a fairly big one at St. John the Divine that's here in New York with the Gay Men's Health Chorus, and I'm really looking forward to that.
How is the album doing?
Fairly well.
And it's been out, a couple months now?
Now, certainly in terms of critical response, it's been received extremely well.
Well, that's never been a problem for you, though, has it?
Well, of course. I mean, everybody doesn't like everything that you do. And, of course, the critics, have an opportunity to write their feelings. There have been a few people who who in the past have said, why did she do that or whatever. But that doesn't bother me one way or another, but it does make me extremely happy when something that I feel so good about is received that way by the critics as well as people who have bought the album. In this particular instance, people call me up and say things like, I asked my class, I have a friend who teaches a solfège class, a music theory class, and she said she asked all of her students to buy the record and to pick one song on there to dissect, diagram, in terms of the music theory involved.
Mm-hmm.
And she told them that if they didn't like the album, she would buy it from them. But of course, we kept it, so that was a good feeling, like a little personal thing. But
Absolutely, yeah.
A lot of people do like the album. The fact that we've been nominated for a Grammy is a strong indication, and I'm very pleased with that. The album is doing well.
All the work that I've ever heard you do has been, I've never really heard you do bad work. And I was really implying more that you've been less prone to criticism than a lot of other people because your work has always been of high quality.
Well, I certainly hope that's true. And the thing that I strive for is a level of consistency in terms of what I'm trying to do. I couldn't just hodgepodge something together. I've been accused of being too much of a perfectionist, and that may be true at certain levels. I did a song once for a film, Busting Loose was the name of the movie. It was a Richard Pryor movie, and I was a whole soundtrack album, and I wrote 2 or 3 things, and this one particular song, Just When I Needed You. I remember I was in the studio, and I think Quincy was there working with Michael Jackson at the same time. He came down and he said to me, "What are you doing to this song? It was so good." 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, just leave it alone. So sometimes I can dig in a little too deeply, maybe, for the satisfaction of certainly the record company. It's the amount of time it takes to finish something, but
I'm sure that's not uncommon for an artist, though.
I don't think so. I think you have to know that you've done what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're never, ever happy. I mean, it comes on the radio and people listen to it, and of course, my theory is that if you hear anything long enough, you begin to hum it back, and it becomes a part of your psyche, if not your soul. And I don't like for my music to be just, I don't like that to be just the only way, the largest way that it's received. I would like for it to be received by people because it means something to them. And, when it gets to that point for me, then I'm ready to let it go and let people share it, Sometimes it takes an extra minute or 2 to get to that point. I think they call it the creative process.
I think so.
Yeah.
Do you have plans to do another album this year?
I would like to do a holiday album, a Christmas gospel or Christmas album or a Christmas gospel album with traditional, Christmas carols and songs, and a couple maybe that I would write. I'd like to re-record 25th of Last December because I think it is a great Christmas song and a modern one. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing this year before the year is up. I don't know if I'll do another major album this year or not. I'd like to.
Do you plan on touring again this year as well? I mean, you had mentioned the Colors of Christmas you possibly would be doing the end of the year. Are you going to tour at all before that?
Yeah. I'm working. My first 2 dates are this week, 11th and the 12th. And then I come back and sort of regroup in terms of musicians. A lot of the guys that I had worked with while I was doing the album went off and worked with other people, still working with them. So I'm in the process of putting together a sort of kind of a new band, new members with some of the old ones. And that takes a little bit of time. It's not difficult, but it is important. And so I need people who can read music as well as play. And it takes a little time to put all that together. I have some dates in March and April, and I expect to get very busy in May.
What type of venues are you going to be doing, like the music fair size venues, or?
I am looking to promote the record extra hard in the urban areas by doing some more, club dates. I want to play the House of Blues and a couple of other clubs like that. I think it would be fun and really good. Then, hopefully from that, would spring some larger concerts. As far as stateside work is concerned, we don't have that laid out. We're just working. When it comes to us, we're working and we're trying to plan the club date tour. And after that, see, where we are.
Is there anything left? I mean, obviously you want to continue to record and you want to continue to get hits as long as you possibly can. Is there anything aside of recording, anything that you haven't accomplished yet that you'd like to accomplish?
Yeah, I'd like to get back into a mode of working on a daily basis as a musician. I have not been able to do that since I've become a little small business entity. I used to practice every day piano, no matter what, and I'm trying to get back to that. Just starting with the basic stuff, the scales and the piano exercises, and then including some of the classical piano repertoire that I love so much, some Schubert and Schumann and Chopin and, just romantic things. But just to begin to play more, and I'd like to do that.
I mean, is that difficult for a musician, do you think, to, once they've hit the level of an artist like yourself, is it hard to maintain a daily practice, or?
Yes, it's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if you care about whatever it is that you're doing, then that's the thing that you prepare. You prepare that, and if you're preparing that, if I'm practicing my Chopin etudes, I'm not really practicing to perform those in front of an audience, but what I'm doing is sort of kind of refurbishing my own skill as a pianist and getting those things back underneath my fingers, because they are, for a person who knows the repertoire, these songs are invaluable when you're singing a beautiful ballad. It's a great source of inspiration to have the ability to sit down and play a Chopin etude. I mean, even out of the Chopin etude or the Brahms intermezzo may come an idea, a lyrical or melodic idea that you could use in your own, creative process while you're working on just a little simple, classic, standard American traditional ballad. It can help a lot. So I miss that. It's just good. It's like being, let's say, I guess, a former Olympic champion runner, and then you find yourself in the position of teaching or doing something with that information and that experience, maybe not running, but when you get ready to make the example for your students or people who are watching you at the seminar, you've got to be able to demonstrate. So I just feel that a person who has the ability to play the piano should keep that skill, in the fingers and underneath, whatever else you're doing. It doesn't have to be something that you use, but it really, really does help. I'm telling you, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think a lot of people lose sight of that.
Yeah.
Of all the things you have accomplished, I know it's kind of hard to nail down just one, but are there a couple things that you're most proud of that you don't mind sharing with us?
Well, I tell you, recently I'm most proud of the fact that I have been nominated for a Grammy with these incredible artists whose talent I have always admired: Barbra Streisand, Willie Nelson, Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra. It's like a historical kind of thing for me, being a black artist and a person who knows that there's still some difficulty in crossing certain barriers and getting to certain places in the business. And I feel like this is a great accomplishment. I would love to win. If I win, of course, I'll be ecstatic. Being nominated with these particular artists means a tremendous amount to me, and I really feel like, in a sense, I've already won, because I did get nominated in that category with these people, so I'm very happy about that. Winning the Grammys, period, is a great accomplishment. I don't take that for granted. And just, some of the moments that I've had, to like when I went back this year to Washington, D.C., they had a D.C. festival, arts festival, people festival, I guess that's what you call it. And on the last day, they had a free concert on Pennsylvania Avenue, and there were about 350,000 people there. Now, I started my career as a solo performer of pop music in Washington, D.C., in a little club. So it was like a tremendous thing to see this great, number of people in front of me, and to think about how I started there, 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, 25 years ago at Mr. Henry's. It was just a wonderful thing to see that. That was a great moment in my life, and I've done big audiences before.
Is that a little terrifying now at the same time?
Not really.
That's a lot of people.
But not terrifying. I don't think that's what I felt. What I felt was like amazed and overwhelmed, and I had to really focus on my inner self at the moment of performance, because I didn't want what was outside of that performance to affect it any more than it needed to or should. Of course I was happy. When they loved something, they screamed. When they liked something, they were polite, and I wanted them to love everything, but it was so hard to hear. I mean, when you have 350,000, and they were orderly, there were no fights, there was nothing distasteful happening. It was an amazing thing. I was very happy about that.
Oh, that has to be incredible.
Yeah, right.
Is there anything else beyond that you can think of, or I mean, are they pretty much the two that come to mind right now?
Those are the two that come to mind.
Uh-huh.
Anytime you have, I have been in a situation where I've performed, though, and you can feel the response of the people and sense that you're on the right track, or that you need to make a change, put one tune up a little earlier, or take a song out altogether, or whatever, or even to, in some instances, abbreviate the performance and move on. That has been a thrilling moment. That happened to me in Manila about 2 years ago. I hadn't been to Manila for about 5 years before that, and 2 years ago I went.
Mm-hmm.
And we did 2 nights at this place. It's sort of like an amphitheater, like Universal Amphitheater, one of those theaters where there's seating outside and maybe about 5,000 or 6,000 people inside. So they had people everywhere. Everything inside was sold out. And they kept asking me to do a song that I had recorded for a movie. Remember the Joe Brooks movie and song You Light Up My Life?
Yes, of course.
There's a sequel to that. Aware of that?
I don't know. I'm a movie buff, and I've probably seen it.
Oh, If Ever I See You Again.
Okay, it's possible. I don't know off the top of my head, though.
Really as well. It
Mhm.
didn't make any of the noise that You Light Up My Life did. The song that he wrote for this movie, though, was just as important in terms of its connection to the movie as You Light Up My Life was to that movie. Even people who don't remember the movie You Light Up My Life remember the song.
Right.
But it didn't happen. And it's a nice song. It's not something that I would have chosen myself to record, but I was asked to do it. The record company thought that this would be a great move for me business-wise. I had an album out called Blue Lights in the Basement, and that from that album was a song called The Closer I Get to You, which was at the charts, and everything was fine. So their theory was, do it now. You've got nothing to lose because your album is doing well, and blah, 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 blah. And just, it's a great movie. It's going to be great. It's going to, follow up to You Light Up My Life. So I did it. And I didn't feel that when I heard the song, and I certainly didn't feel that after the performance. But people love that song, and especially in the Philippines.
Right.
It apparently became a big hit over there. And I would go, as I went around shopping, I was in the Philippines, maybe in Manila about 4 or 5 days. And I went around and did a lot of shopping for crafts and things like that, the local arts and stuff, and had a great time. And people would recognize me, and they'd say, oh, and they'd start singing it ever. And, and I'd have to stand there and sing it. They'd take my pictures.
Oh, gosh.
And, please write If Ever I See You Again, Love Roberta. They want me to write Killing Me Softly or First. They wanted, and I did. And so the first night I didn't do the song because I didn't know it. I mean, I had never done that song since it had been recorded, and certainly had not introduced it to this band and that I was working with. But the second night, the promoter got very upset and very uptight. Told my management people she has to sing that song, and I said I don't know it. All I know is Ever I See You Again, maybe the sun. Just the hook part. Well, you've got to sing something. So we did like 2 hours and a half out there because the audience was such a Roberta Flack audience. They loved everything. They sang everything. I did Killing Me Softly like for maybe 15 minutes. They wouldn't stop. I'd stop and they'd start it up again until they, were satisfied. It was wonderful. We were so thrilled. Well, at the end of that, after I had done all my encores, sang everything. I mean, pulled out songs that only I knew so I could play them myself and sing, just piano vocals. And they were satisfied. They were standing, screaming. They had moved towards the stage. And they said, If Ever I See You Again. And they started clapping, If Ever I See You Again. And I said, oh, my God, I don't know it. And the promoter said, you've got to do something. So I went out and sat down, and I played a chord, boom. And they said, If Ever.
Oh, gosh.
I started to sing. And so I followed them, and I started to sing. And as luck would have it, I remembered the first 2 lines. I've wondered all my life why I should ever let you go. Let's see, there's not a lot I changed in my life, but one thing that I know, I see you again. So I did that like twice, and they were happy. But I left the stage with them singing If Ever and moving.
Oh, that's incredible.
Back, they wanted to sing it some more. I said no. I had done a song for an album called More Than You'll Ever Know, which I did not know had been recorded by anybody. Apparently, the guy that wrote it recorded it, and it was released minimally in some parts of the world, and apparently Manila, the Philippines, was one of them. So I sat down and I said, "Take my hand," and they started to sing that with me. Well, the kids in my band went, "What?" Because they knew I hadn't recorded it.
Oh, gosh.
That was an amazing experience. So they knew that song. I was satisfied because they knew that I had not recorded it.
Yeah.
So they felt that I was singing it, for them, and of course I was. That was a wonderful, 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 wonderful moment.
That's a funny story at the same time. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Did you ever think when you started out in this business that you'd become what you have become at this point?
No, you don't think like that.
Uh-huh.
I didn't set any, this is it. When I get there, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be.
Right.
I've always wanted to be a musician,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always wanted to be a good one, and to make, sort of kind of paths for other people to follow or to look at and say, so that's what she does or whatever. I've always wanted to be individual and unique in that regard, and I think that's still my goal. My goal is to be unique and involved. This might be my other interview. Hold on.
Okay, sure.
My other interview.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Oh, absolutely. I've gotten everything and more that I needed. Thanks, Roberta. Take care. Bye-bye.
Roberta Flack exemplified authenticity through her music and her desire to have an impact on social issues. Fueled by her passion for creativity, her unforgettable voice, and her determination to make a name for herself, Flack never forgot her humble upbringing and was grateful for the success that would secure her standing as one of the great female vocalists of all time. Thank you for taking a walk with me down memory lane. I look forward to our time together next week when I present an interview I conducted with rock legend Mickey Dolenz. Until next time, peace, serenity, and blessings.